Everyone, so in this video today I'm going to make this more of a story time type video, and the reason I've chose to make this particular video is because I run a debt page which is on my Facebook pages, and it's called A Debt Free Life. And on that page it's specifically been set up to help people who are experiencing debt problems, who want financial support, financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, I've always made that clear. However, I have been in a lot of debt, and I know that I would have really enjoyed having the support of someone when I was going through these experiences. So the reason I've set up all my pages, and that includes my YouTube channels and my Facebook pages, is so that I can provide advice, guidance and information to others. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is I've decided that I'm going to share different stories, and they're all like true stories based on my experiences and sort of what led me to become a counsellor, a coach, and also what has led me to even make these videos in the first place, because I don't just want to provide you with information that I've heard somewhere else, which sometimes I do watch other YouTube videos and then I do make videos similar, but I always give the credit to whoever's made them. But this one is purely my story, so I've made a few notes as I go. But what I want to talk about really is how I got into debt, which led to me being very stressed, and then how I got out of it really. So previously, the whole reason I got into debt some many years ago, you're talking 10 years ago now, or even beyond that, was because I went off to university. And this is a key thing for people to think about as well, because I know in America, some of the things that I read about, Americans who are in like 200,000, 170,000 pounds worth of debt, dollars, and I just can't even, I don't know how you would sleep with that much debt. In the UK it's not as bad because they get bursaries and things, but there are lots of people that leave university and college, especially if they decide to go away and study. So that's the first thing to think about. If you are living at home and you're just saying you want to get away, you want to go to university or college, you need to take into account that there is a likelihood that you will potentially get into a lot of debt just through making that decision. And how it hit me when I went away, I'm from Birmingham, but I studied in Bradford, Yorkshire. Now, first of all, the distance was really far, so some of the debt incurred because I was travelling back home to Birmingham quite a lot, and even though I was going by coach and train, it was still costing me money as a student. Then also, when you're a student, you're not getting an income. I did get a grant, I think, because they were still around when I was studying for the first year, but then I took out loans for year 2, 3 and 4. So that was my first thing, is that I didn't work through university. I just lived off my loans, and everyone knows as a student you can't really survive on just those loans because they pay for your rent, your books, your course, but not much more. So then I started taking out overdrafts, student loans. The banks are really good at helping students get into debt, so you just have to be disciplined as a person and make a decision. How much debt are you willing to get into during that period of time? And as students, what we're always thinking is when we graduate, we're going to be fine because we'll get this job and then we can pay it all back. So I left university and I had a lot of debt, student loan from then. I then took out a graduate loan, and that graduate loan, I think I took out a good amount. It was about £3,000, maybe more. I was using that money to set up in my own place because I didn't want to go back and live at home. I did for about 6 months, then I moved into my own place. So the graduate loan was for helping with moving costs, furniture and everything like that. And I think around that time I did have my first job since leaving university. However, it wasn't a high paid job, and that's another thing for you to consider. If you know that you've done this degree and that degree means you can get a high paying job, don't just take the first job that comes along because it's a job, because it might be paying you less than what you're worth. And I definitely qualified as a social worker, but I went into a role that wasn't a social work role, and it was low paid. So that increased my debts because I then had credit cards, I had my graduate loan to pay off, I was living in my first accommodation by myself, so I had lots of bills and things. And I ended up with 3 credit cards, loans. I had all these doorstop loans. I even at one point had something called mobile money, which they give you money based on your car. So I did get a car. I think I had a little car at the time. and they finance you based on your car. So I had all these loans, and it got to a point where all I can remember from that period of time, because it's quite scary actually how much debt I was in then, is that every single letter that was coming through was just asking for money, and I just felt like I was paying the minimum on everything and I wasn't catching up. I just was struggling with sleep, I was stressed, I didn't even want to spend money on food or spend money on anything, because I was thinking it all has to go towards this loan and these credit cards. So after this period of time, what I actually did is I went to a debt management company, and they helped put all of your loans, they negotiated with your creditors. However, they charge a fee. So one thing with them, I don't think I knew about free services at that time, but the service, they charge a fee each month, so you pay them a fee and they'll do all the negotiations. However, it doesn't decrease the amount that it decreases the amount you pay, but you still have that debt hanging over you. So after about 3 years of these people helping, I realised, well, what's the point of them helping me? I'm paying them a fee, my loan isn't going down, or all they help do is secure that your creditors are negotiating through them and that you're paying less, but you still have that loan, you still have that interest. So it doesn't actually solve the problem. So what I decided was I needed to have an action plan to get rid of the debt altogether. So I did make a plan, and over at least 2 or 3 years it took me, I got rid of all my credit cards. I didn't have an overdraft, and I've never had one since. However, in 2015, when I became self-employed, towards the end of 2016, beginning of 2016, I then, as a self-employed person, I took out more like loans and stuff, and that's my responsibility. I wasn't getting as much income through my client work, and I was a new business, and I made quite a lot of mistakes there because I got back into this like borrowing. I was back in debt again, and I felt almost like I'd gone backwards. I'd let myself down because I'd cleared all the debt. I had doorstop loans again, I had loans against my car. It's just that feeling that where you feel like you're drowning. And I know that I've done a recent video on this page, no, it was on my Facebook page, A Debt Free Life, about a young man who took his life over £512 he owed. It's not the amount that you owe, it's just that feeling you feel like you're sinking. You have every time the phone rings, you think it's a creditor. Every time a letter comes through the door, they're asking for money that you don't have. So I can understand and relate to people who, you know, the panic and the stress and the anxiety surrounded with owing money. So I decided I didn't want to live like that anymore. I thought to myself, I would rather live a life where I don't buy any clothes. I stopped all my facials and things. I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped going on outings, stopped socialising, and I just put every single money towards the debts and that I owed. And I sat down and wrote a plan out. All these doorstop loans as well, these people, they're trying to give you more money once you've paid off what you owe. And that's another thing that people do. They pay off what they owe, but then the people convince them to take out another loan. So it becomes a rolling thing. You borrow a bit of money, you pay back what you owe, then you re-borrow it, then you pay back what you owe, and you never get out of it. Because even after a long time after I'd paid off everything that I owed, I still had these letters coming through saying, we'll give you £1,000, you know, we'll give you 1,500, do you want another credit card? And I've made a decision over the last 3 years, I'm never going to have a credit card in my life. I'm not going to have any loans. I don't care if it means I have to live a different life, which is literally what my plan was. So the first step is for you to make a decision that, you know, you're not going to have creditors controlling your life, because that's basically what they do. And it's not blaming the creditors, because it's not their fault. You made a decision to take out the loan, but it's just that like sinkable feeling really that these people have got so much power and control over you. They can dictate that if you don't pay them, then they're going to send the bailiffs, then they're going to put interest. And it's really scary getting these letters. I don't think, unless you've been in this situation, I don't think you understand how scary it is when you see a letter and you might owe £300, but then that letter is saying you owe 500 in interest, and if you don't pay by next month, you're going to owe this much in interest. And that was my kickstart really with the credit cards. My maximum on any credit card was £1,000, but when you're paying £20 minimum, and your interest fees are £19, you literally you're paying back £1. So if you've got a credit card and you owe £1,000, it's going to take you a good like 10-20 years just to pay it off. And there was just this indignant I don't know if that's the word, I don't know, I got to the point where I just thought, no, I'm not paying any interest, and no, I'm sick of these creditors, and no, I'm sick of this life, I'm going to pay it off. And that's what I did. I didn't use any debt management company. I sat down, I worked out what the minimum is that I can live off. I cut back on everything and I just paid it all off. So that's really how I got out of it, by making the decision, by just I phoned up my creditors myself. I said how much I could pay. I did this statement proving what I can afford to pay, and I just paid it off, and it felt so fantastic. It feels good even now. The only thing I have now is my car finance, and I needed that because my car had it, and I knew I wasn't going to get any. It couldn't be repaired. It was a write-off, not write-off, but it was scrap basically. And so I thought, you know what, I deserve a car because I've had these bangers for like years. Took out car finance, and that is it. Apart from, I don't have any overdraft, no credit cards, no loans, nothing, and it feels really fantastic. Yes, there's times where I want to buy things and I can't afford it because I haven't got my credit card, and so I'll wait, I'll save, I'll go and treat myself when I've earned it. So it's just that feeling that you just can sleep at night, really. And so what I want to say to people is, no matter how much debt you're in, you have to make the decision that you want things to change. Unless you make the decision and then you start taking action, then it's not going to change. It's like head in the sand thing, which we've all done if we've been in debt. So if you found this video useful, then please like, share, subscribe to my channel. You can also go over to my Facebook page, A Debt Free Life, where you can find more information, articles and videos about debt and finance. You can also head on over to, well, this is my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe here. I normally talk about, obviously, counselling relating topics, but I do want to say that this is a counselling relating topic because many people struggle with stress, anxiety, and they do go for debt counselling, so it is debt counselling related. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.